I guess I need to put the camera on. Hi, everybody. Welcome into the high noon edition of Pugs and Company, the first of two streams that we do each and every day. The first one, we call it High Noon. We do it here. It's all about current events. It's all about trending topics, the things that people are talking about. And then we come back most nights and we do something called Pillow Talk. That's the 9 o'clock edition, 9 p.m. Central Time, all time Central Time, the most important time. That's a little bit more free form, a little bit more conversational, a little bit more, we like to think that this show is designed, and when I say we, I mean the royal we. This is a cheat sheet for you. We give you all the things that people are talking about. We make sure that you're all prepped up so you're not walking around this world feeling like everything's passing you by and you have no idea what anybody's talking about. Let's bring in here. We did it a little bit differently. Usually I like to have him join me lately in the last hour of the show, but we're bringing him in here early. Here he is. Look at him. It's E.
Yep.
It is the jet set icon of the slopes of the art world of the... Your dog sucks, man. Your dog sucks.
What'd she do now?
I love my dog niece. Don't get me wrong. Well, are those our landscapers that are currently out there? Did they come today?
Oh, are they out there? I need to put the gates in.
No, you don't. No, you don't. I got her. Because just about 10 minutes ago, she was out in the yard. She was hanging out. And about 10 minutes ago, she starts doing that thing that old Dr. Snotface calls animal control over. You know, he's like, your dog's barking. So she went to her position where she barks into Dr. Snotface's yard. And I was like, oh God, no. Cause I'm hobbled today, folks. You listening to the Pillow Talk show last night, you saw the ankle. I displayed the glorious swelling. Well, now I'll have you know, if you were tuned in yesterday, the glorious swelling has begun to color. And now it's looking like a beautiful purple, a purplish maroon kind of black. And I can't get around that well. And the dog is out there on the porch going, arr, arr, arr. And I'm like, oh, God.
Well, she's hobbled too. Like she's got a little limp going on. Something's going on with her leg.
Yeah. But there's only something going on with her leg when food isn't involved. If food is somewhere to be found, she is healthy as they come.
Well, I figured like, she just does not have a good memory because like I know like she hobbles around and then when she sees a squirrel or there's like somebody in the backyard or someone in the front, then she's on guard duty and she does not seem to realize that her leg is hurting.
Look, here's what I think it is. Maybe it's not memory. She's just a big game player. She just, it doesn't matter if she doesn't practice all week. When the squirrel's in the yard, when the lights come on, she is ready to perform.
She is definitely one of the more goofy dogs that I have had for sure.
She has some character to her. All right, welcome to the show. As we say, we like to keep you all prepped up on everything that's happening today. It is the 7th day of the year, which means there's 358 days remaining till the end of the year. What happened today? Why is today such a cool day? Well, I'll tell you. Hi, Jeff. Jeff's here. Today... This is, not for you, but for weird asses like me, this is a pretty big day. This is on this day in 1948. This is the famous Thomas Mantell crash. This does not play into our plane crashes of the day because that's coming. Trust me, because there's always a plane crash. Always. Oh, you weren't here. You were not here. We found the day. We came across a day where there were no commercial airline crashes to speak of.
Great day to fly.
That's right, for our proposed book, which is going to be a compilation of all the plane crashes and the days they occurred on, so that if you're flying, you can, gauge whether or not you feel, the karmic energy of a safe day or a bad day of flying. January 3rd, there were no commercial airline crashes to speak of from the Wright brothers all the way up till today. I mean, typically I like to keep it bottled in between 1945, just after World War II, 1945 and 2000, because my belief is that after 2000, commercial airlines finally went, okay, I think we got to figure it out. I think we know that, you can't use plastic as the flange in this thing, and you can't do this with the, I think by 2000, I feel like besides after 2000, then we started getting into all kinds of terrorist stuff. And that's not, my whole thing is about maintenance. My whole thing is about equipment not working. You know what I mean? Like planes used to crash because of mechanical failure all the time. That's kind of my point. So January 3rd, nothing happened. Which is odd because it's after the new year, and you would think a lot of people might be heavy travel days, or people flying back, so a lot more.
Yeah, probably a lot of people are sober by then.
Well, yeah,
flying better.
Yeah, that doesn't stop an engine from blowing at 30,000 feet.
Well, but it might stop, mechanical failure. Guy was a little bit sauce, still working maintenance on the plane.
Yeah. Well, as Albert Gamboa points out in the chat room, January 3rd, I say it appears on paper to be the safest day to fly. With that said, it might also be the worst day to fly because it's long overdue. It is long overdue.
Oh, so you're playing the it's due.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That might be like in the NFL, you have the Cardinals who have never won anything. They're due. The Cardinals are due, and this might be the year for them. And that's don't fly on January. That would be my advice. Don't fly on January 3rd. There's something weird about that day. Something big is coming, and you don't want to be a part of it. Do you know what was interesting about?
So, would you then say, if there's been lots of crashes on that day, that's a safer day to travel?
I don't know. You know what? I would have to actually sit down and actually sort of think about that. But possibly, it is possibly. Is there a quota does God have a quota on days of bad shit that's going to happen? Because maybe some days have just reached their quota and now they're going to, I don't know. I would have to think about that. But here's the interesting thing about January 3rd, having no plane crashes. Dude, January 3rd has no plane crashes, but it had 4 major commuter rail disasters. 4. Don't ride a train on January 3rd.
Planes, trains, and automobiles.
Every day we got auto wrecks. We all take our life in our own hands. But yes, absolutely. 4 major train crashes in America. Well, no, one was in Egypt or something. And that was the big one. 1,000 people were crammed onto a train and they all died. I don't mean to laugh. I laugh when things get weird. That's just sort of my natural response. But anyway, on this day in 1948, it's a big day in the UFO community for people like me who love UFOs. Kentucky Air National Guard pilot Thomas Mantell crashed while pursuing a UFO. This is a big deal because for us ufologists, this is one of the first times that someone with credibility, and this guy wasn't a kook. This guy was, although could you imagine the balls it would take in 1948 to crash your plane and go, it was a UFO? Did anybody believe him? I mean,
so he survived after he crashed?
You know what? That's a good question. I believe he did. Yeah, I think he ejected. If I remember the Discovery Channel special on it that I saw years ago.
Now that's beginning to sound a little fishy to me.
The Kentucky Air National Guard is. No, wait, that's not it. Where's the Thomas Martell incident? You know what? I don't want to get bogged down. Yes, I do believe he survived anyway. We'll get through that. On this day in 1973, Mark Essex fatally shoots 7 people and wounds 5 others at a Howard Johnson's in New Orleans. Now, I always remembered this as a youngster. I don't remember it happening, but I do remember because we live in an age now where mass shootings happen all the time. We seem to think that the guy walking into the movie theater and just killing everybody, or the guy walking into the McDonald's and just killing everybody, or the school shooter, we think that that's a relatively recent phenomena here in America. But this one was one of the first. This was one of the, look, they happened before. But as far as in the modern era, all the way back in 1973, this whack job walked in. And then you remember, I think it was in the 80s, Luby's here in Texas.
Yep, I remember the Luby's one.
Yeah, that was another big one. And then there was a McDonald's in San Diego, also in the 80s. And the reason that I can remember these specifically is because they were so rare. They never, what? Somebody just walked into a Luby. Didn't the guy at the Luby's drive his car through the Lubies first and then like jumped out and started shooting people, or maybe that was another one, but I think that was the Lubies. Anyway, 1973, Howard Johnson's in New Orleans, the big shooting that happened.
God, you never see Howard Johnson's anymore.
No, you don't. You really don't. I don't think are they a thing even anymore?
I don't think so.
What is your familiarity with Howard Johnson's? You come from the East Coast, and I think they're a little bit more common there. I think that's like where they're based. But for me, in the Midwest, in traveling the highways of America, Howard Johnson's was always the overpass restaurant. You know,
it had like an A-frame with
I never saw those.
Orange roof, like an orange roof and like turquoise coloring.
Yeah, I never saw those. The only Howard Johnsons that I knew in the Chicago area were on highways, and they were cool because as a little kid, it was a restaurant that was built over the highway, so you drive under it. And when you were on long road trips, you might stop there for bathrooms or whatever, and you could stand and look out the giant floor to ceiling windows and see the cars going underneath you. That was always fun as a kid. But I don't remember. I guess Howard Johnson's was a really big player in like the 60s and the 50s and stuff.
I just remember their coloring had orange roofs.
Oranges, yeah. Orange, that does sound right. I don't think they're in business anymore. 1972, here we go. Let's get into the crashes of the day. In 1972, Iberia Flight 602 crashes near Ibiza Airport, killing all 104 people on board. And in 1994, United Express Flight 6291 crashes in Ghana, Ohio, killing 5 on board. So there you go. So we have a couple of commercial airline crashes here. Not one bad, bad if you're one of the 5 people killed, but or the family or loved ones. I don't know if it's bad for the people killed because, you're dead. I'm still working that whole process out in my head. But for the families, it certainly was a sad day. Happy birthdays on this day. A lot of happy birthdays. Jan Weiner. Jan Weiner was born on this day. Do you know who Jan Weiner is?
No, I don't.
Jan Weiner, for about a 40-year period of his life, probably contributed as much to American popular culture as anyone else. Jan Weiner is the creator, editor, publisher of Rolling Stone magazine. Remember how big a player Rolling Stone used to be?
Yeah, I do.
It used to be really big. Jan Weiner, happy birthday, born on this day in 1946. 1948, someone who I'm certain appeared on a few covers of Rolling Stone magazine, Kenny Loggins. I'm all right. Quick name. Kenny Loggins music draft. I can't do that. Can you name another Kenny Loggins song besides Danger Zone?
Danger Zone. Yeah, Highway to the Danger Zone.
Yeah. And at some point, when I think of Kenny Loggins songs, especially from the 80s, they begin to blend in for me with Bryan Adams songs. And I'm not sure which is Bryan Adams and which is Kenny Loggins. So
I think Bryan Adams had quite a few more than Kenny Loggins.
Oh, I think it's just the opposite. I think because, Kenny Loggins goes all the way back to the 60s. Kenny Loggins was cranking out hits with Loggins and Messina, his first group. I got another one. Whenever I call you friend. When that the duet he did with Stevie Nicks, it was a big hit for him. Kenny Loggins got a lot of hits. That's an interesting one, though.
Bryan Adams. That one. Who has more hits, Bryan Adams or Kenny Loggins?
Well, you Google that, and I'll work through the rest.
I will.
That's a good one. David Caruso, born on this day in 1956. David Caruso, a guy whose piss poor attitude ruined what was an otherwise A-list trajectory for Hollywood success. He, of course, started on NYPD Blue. He was the redheaded guy. And then he left NYPD Blue for bigger fame in the films. And he did a couple of films, and he was a complete jackass to everybody, and then nobody would work with him again. So happy birthday, David Caruso. Nobody knows who you are anymore. Born on this day in 1957, Katie Couric. Happy birthday, Katie Couric. Born on this day in 1962, Chico. Now, as a Chicago Bear, I've got my 2 top choices for new Chicago Bear coach. And it's a pick'em. I don't know. I'm so confused. It's a pick'em. It's a pick'em between Jim Harbaugh and Chico Ron Rivera, who people all of a sudden call him, Riverboat Ron, but that's not his nickname. People in Chicago know his nickname is not Riverboat Ron. His nickname is Chico. 85 Bear great Ron Rivera. Happy birthday to you. Coach of the Washington. Did you hear about this? They're about on February 2nd, they're going to announce the new name for the
Yeah, I heard that.
Did you hear what the name is? It leaked.
Was it the Admirals?
It is. There's so God. There is absolutely nothing that Daniel Snyder's football team can do correctly. They built up this huge publicity thing announcing a major, they were going to announce the new brand, they're going to unveil the new uniforms, they're going to do all of that stuff with the Today Show on February 2nd. That was announced a couple of days ago. And then they said, if you're wondering, here's the final list of team names. And they put the list of team names out that were the finalists. And dude, they're so dumb. They're so stupid. All you had to do is just Google search all the team names. And when you got to the Admirals, you found WashingtonAdmirals.com. You click on it and it directed you right back to the Washington football team. That's how it's blown. The secret was blown. It was supposed to be a huge reveal.
Well, the way that I heard it was they also had scooped themselves because there was a reflection in a camera like shot that they sent to ESPN or something like that, where the logo was in the actual like reverse mirror image. So like they were
that's very Daniel Snyder.
Yeah, they were sitting there and they sent like they were doing this talk and the image was in the background, but there was a mirror or a window in front of them, and somebody scooped it by seeing the image reflecting off the window. And so that's how they found out it was the Admirals. And then I guess maybe the other thing that you talked about.
Yeah, now you heard the other thing I talked about was a sports radio show that I listened to. They were like, well, here's what happens when you go to WashingtonAdmirals.com or whatever the thing was. It's just par for the course with that team. And that's the reason I say Ron Rivera is a pick to come back home to the Chicago Bears as a head coach, because that team, this is all a publicity stunt, because the Washington football team and Daniel Snyder are about to be slammed by the NFL. This investigation that has been going on for like years and years that we've been hearing about, and some things trickled out a couple of weeks ago. This is just a redirection. They're just like, okay, this is going to be the worst offseason of the Washington football team's life. So let's try and do something to distract people from all the bad things that are about to happen to us. And there's a belief that Ron Rivera might take his out with the Washington team and hit the open market. Good year for him. Lot of open coaching jobs this year. Seems like a lot more than usual, and desirable ones. You know, aside from the Jacksonville Jaguars, you're going to have Las Vegas. What young hot coach wouldn't want to go to Las Vegas?
Yeah, you think you will. I think if they make the playoffs, maybe they just turn that guy into the head coach.
You think so?
Well, yeah. I mean, if he's taken them as long as he has through this season of adversity, you know, they got to beat the Chargers.
I guess I make a distinction between what is deserved, because if he does that, that would certainly be deserved, and what the whack job Mark Davis will do. It's Vegas. I think he's going to make a big money offer to some big name splashy coach. He's going to, you know what I mean? That just seems Mark Davis. Having an anonymous coach that nobody knows does not feel like a Mark Davis Vegas Raiders move. But you could be right. I mean, if they go on a playoff run, like wasn't it in like 1980? I want to say the Raiders were the first wild card team to win the Super Bowl. I mean, if they were to do that again, how could you? Even if they win one playoff game, right? How do you fire a year for the Las Vegas Raiders like they've just experienced? Whether it's Henry Ruggs, whether it's the Gruden thing. To be able to pick up the pieces and make a run in the playoffs, you're right. How could you not be considered seriously for the head coaching permanent position?
Yeah. No, I think he's got a shot.
I just think Mark Davis is a crazy person. You know, I just think that you can't.
Well, I love the fact that he's built his house to look like the new Las Vegas Raiders stadium. I mean, I think that's interesting.
Yeah. All right. Also born on this day, Nicolas Cage, one of America's favorite creepy actors. Nicolas Cage was born on this day in 1964. Born on this day in 1971, Jeremy Renner, Hawkeye. Still have not ventured into the Hawkeye series on Disney Plus. I think Hawkeye is the weakest of the Avengers, and that's pretty much been my hiccup with getting started on that series. Although I will say this. I have my son this weekend, which is always a great weekend. So this might be the weekend we jump into Hawkeye, although he may want to jump into the book of Boba Fett first. I don't know. We'll have to play that by ear. So happy birthday, Jeremy Renner. Also born on this day in 1985, Lewis Hamilton. Do you know who Lewis Hamilton is? He's somebody. Do you know who Lewis Hamilton is?
He had something to do with Roots.
No. That's Louis Gossett Jr. But hey, why not? No, Lewis Hamilton is always like in the top 3 of the highest paid professional athletes in the world. He's a Formula One driver. He's
okay.
He's like the best Formula One driver. He's having a birthday today. Born in 1985, English racing driver Lewis Hamilton.
Wasn't there somebody Hamilton with the Roots thing? I don't remember. But yeah, that's not him. I know.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, dead on this day, and this is a big one. Michael Apted died on this day in 2021, filmmaker. Also died on this day in 2021. Tommy Lasorda. Oh, was he a character? Longtime Los Angeles Dodgers. I believe he was a Brooklyn Dodgers player and then a longtime Los Angeles Dodgers manager.
That's the fat guy that died.
Yeah, that's three. Hey, you're right. Wait though. Didn't he, in like the last 10 years of his life, wasn't he the Slim Fast spokesman?
He was doing some of those commercials, but I don't know that he actually really got it all off.
Yeah, some of that may have just been due to the fact that he was 90.
Right.
People who are 90.
They kind of emaciate away a little bit.
Hitting 90 seems to be the best diet there is. It seems to be the one that's the easiest to drop the pounds. But more importantly, dead on this day, this is a big one for me. This was sad. This was terrible. Neil Peart, possibly. Now, your boy's a drummer, right?
He is.
Has your boy, has he embraced the great drummers? Do they teach him in his drumming classes about the world's greatest drummers? Because Neil Peart of Rush is certainly one of the world's greatest drummers.
Not so much that as he comes home with different songs to play that I think are within his range of drumming.
Let's give him. Well, let's not give him any rock.
Neil Peart is not in his range right at the moment.
Here, listen to this. This is something I found, and we can just pick this up absolutely anywhere we want. This is isolated drums. This is the great Neil Peart's isolated drums on Tom Sawyer, which is a pretty good representation of. I don't know. I guess I'd have to have Ross Rubio in the chat room. Is he in the chat room today? Because Ross Rubio is our resident drumming expert. He's a really good local drummer. Played with a lot of people, and he would probably be best on this. But let's give this a listen. This is just random. It's a 5-minute YouTube clip. I'll just randomly cue it up to somewhere in the song. Neil Peart, isolated drums, Tom Sawyer, died on this day. Hold on. Maybe we'll get towards the end where he gets going a little bit. His rolls were so beautiful. They were perfect. They were all individual. Nothing bled into the next. You can have all the Tommy Lees that you want. Neil Peart is the guy.
And the one-armed drummer from Def Leppard, he was pretty damn good too.
Hey, I put him up there. You got to put him up there. Dude's got one arm. Although I have heard drummer friends of mine say, look, you're just being nice, because it's definitely difficult to do what he does with one arm. But the majority of his stuff is a drum machine now, and it has been for a long time. You know what I mean? A lot of it's pre-programmed, and he just plays the parts he can play with his one arm. Again, another question for Ross Rubio, who's a regular here. See how he ends it. All right. I was hoping to luck into the part of the song where it's like dun 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 dun. But we don't have time for that today. Today's I don't know that we're gonna go the full load today because like I said, I'm moving a little bit slow. I got an injury. I have stuff to do around here. I have to go shopping. Everything's gonna take me twice as long. It's awful. What is today?
Crutches?
No. Why, do you got crutches?
I think there's some in the garage.
I might need a crutch, but see, here's the thing, and I explained this last night in showing off my good ankle and my bad ankle on camera. My bad ankle was like, as James said, your bad ankle looks like a normal ankle. And I go, yeah, now look at my good ankle. And I put my good ankle up and he's like, oh my God, you've got the ankle of a 5-year-old. I have chicken ankles. I have very small, tiny ankles. So now the ankle that's all jacked up for a guy my size looks like the size it should be. My ankles do not support my bulbous frame, and they never have. I'll say this. When I was playing sports in high school, I think I got my money's worth from that school because they spent more on tape to tape up my ankles before every practice of every sport I played than I think any. I used to get Mr. Bentley, our trainer. He's the guy that coined the phrase chicken ankles. I thought it was my ex-wife, but it was actually Mr. Bentley. He said, get them chicken ankles up here. And I would double tape my ankle just for freaking a walkthrough practice. I would get my ankles double taped more than, the usual thing, just because I've probably had, I don't know, I said yesterday, 15. I mean, I've broken them, but more commonly, I've sprained my ankles probably 15, 16 times in my life. And usually it's just really stupid shit. Very rarely in sports, though. That's the interesting thing. In Pee Wee League, before we understood that it was a chicken ankle problem, Pee Wee football, I used to sprain my ankle all the time. But then by the time I got to high school, when they had trainers and stuff, and they would tape you up, he's like, yeah, we're gonna tape this up. You're gonna have like a whole splint in there. I used to have to wear high tops, which was rare, back in the 80s for like a
right. High tops gave you some ankle support.
Yeah, they did. I used to have to wear an extra large size high top because I needed the width in the high top area because of all the tape that I used, because it was, oh God, ended my career. Could have gone on to be something, but honestly, I couldn't take the constant sprains. And that's not true. I couldn't take the 45 minutes early that I had to get there to get taped up before everybody else. That's what I really hated.
Yeah, I remember, before they had the tape, they had that kind of like half high top boot that you would stick your foot through, and then it would lace up around your ankle, but your foot part would be exposed. You kind of put it in your sneaker to make your sneaker into a high top.
Yeah, no, I don't remember that. Maybe I should have, but maybe that was a little too expensive for me. Single mom and all, I couldn't get the special stuff. I just had to get a big wide. It would never be all the way laced or tightly laced at the top, because it didn't need to be, because the tape was, underneath it, and that was tight. The tape was tight, but you just have it here. Why not? We'll get the camera here. Let's see how we're looking today. I'll give you all an example of my jacked up crazy ankle. It's starting to take on a pretty color. Last night. So here's what I did. I'll set you, because I almost gave you a call. I almost called you and said, "Come pick me up, please." So I'm doing the 3 miles. 3 miles is between Mockingbird and Lemon, right? That's like a loop that I make between my run up to Mockingbird, turn around, come all the way down, run up to Lemon, come all the way back to the house. And that's just about 3 miles. I think it's 2.92 miles. And I had gone all the way up to Mockingbird. I had come all the way back down. I had passed the house, and I had gotten to those first set of nice apartments or condos or whatever they are, close to the Whole Foods.
Right.
So I had gotten there, and it was dark, because remember, I like to run in the dark because I like to look at the Christmas lights. By the way, most people took their lights down. Most of the lights are gone from Wednesday night into Thursday nights. And it's dark, and I'm running, and I'm listening to the radio, and I'm feeling really good. And then I got to that area over by the apartment buildings, and there are some of these damn pecan trees like we have in our backyard.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, and the sidewalk was just littered with pecans. And I hit a pecan, and my ankle twisted.
Ouch.
Oh, yeah. And I crashed onto the sidewalk in a heap. And I just laid there. I knew what had happened. And there's about a 45 seconds where I have to take like a systems check, where I just lay there still. And I'm like, okay, sprain or break. sprain or break. You know what I mean? It's like, and then after about 45 seconds, I know, because I've been through it enough. I know if this is a sprain or a break. And I'm like, okay, this is just a sprain. And I'm laying there and I'm like, I knew you were home because you and Dom were home. And I'm like, I gotta go. And there's no way I can walk from these apartments. It's only 3 blocks, but I'm like, there's no way that I can walk back. I gotta get them to. So what did I do? I gutted it out. I waited there probably about 5 minutes or so. I played on Twitter and I just waited. And then I got up and I went, okay, let me walk back towards the house. And I started walking back towards the house. And so I finished the complete 3 miles. I just had to walk the rest of it. And it felt fine. It didn't feel fine. Like I knew there was something wrong with it. It hurt a little, but I was able to walk on it and stuff. And I realized
you didn't even say anything when you came in. You looked like you had just run. You go like, let me go get a water at the fridge. And then we had a conversation. You didn't even mention it.
Yeah, I told you about my friend, who I won't name because he might want to do this again. I told you about my friend who got invited to go golfing with Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Folks, here's a funny story. Michael Jordan has a golf course at a country club. And when he's there golfing, this is stroke, man. This is, no pun intended with golf, but this is power. Michael Jordan, the groundskeepers, whenever Michael's there in the morning, they go out there and they reposition the course to suit Michael's game based on the weather and based on the way he's been playing lately. So, I mean, how awesome is that? That's just like...
Oh, that's called smart at your job. Like if you're the groundskeeper, you want the boss to be happy with the way that the course is playing.
Let's give this a look. Let's see how it is. It's taking on a pretty color. Oh, wait, I need to do this first, so I can see if it's positioned properly. All right, here we go. All right. So, wait. I can't get a good angle on it. How did I do it last night? It was a good angle last night.
I see a little bit of an ankle bone.
Yeah, there's a little bit. Well, see, what's the angle? There it is. Okay, you can see it here. It's starting to get some color. Now, the only way that you can tell that looks nasty,
like Gumby's head.
Yeah, yes, it's a little bit. There's a knot there a little bit. But the only way you could truly appreciate how weird that looks is if you then see the way it's supposed to look with the other ankle, which is a chicken ankle. So here's the normal, perfectly healthy chicken ankle. Doo-doo. See how thin that is?
Yeah, it's a little different.
Yeah, a little different. But, it was weird. I had the experience where I walked it off and I came back in and you saw me right afterwards. I mean, I was kind of okay. And I was like, okay, maybe this won't be so bad. And I was thinking about those times you see football players get injured and they come off and then they're back in like a play later. And you're like, okay, good. He's fine. And then on Monday, he's on the IR and you're like, what the hell happened? I thought
adrenaline.
It's the stiffening. You injure it, but then when the wound sits for a while and you wake up the next morning and it's like, oh my God, I can't even put any pressure on it. So that's what I'm going through. And that's why we may be, we'll probably get out of here a little bit early because I got a whole bunch of stuff that I got to do. And like I said, it's taking me a little bit longer. And also, I slept. I got overslept. I usually wake up at 8:30, somewhere in there. I doubled up on the pain pills. Not pain pills, the sleeping pills, because I knew it was throbbing when we ended the show last night. I was like, oh man, this is going to suck to try and sleep. So I doubled up on my sleep medication and boy, oh boy, I slept till 9:45 today, which is, it's not good for me lately. Back in the day, that's waking up early, but, what else? Oh, what is today the day of? Okay. So today we actually do have things to discuss. There are things that are trending, and we'll get into those in a minute. Here you go. Let's see. Today is the day of National Bobblehead Day and National Tempura Day. Got any bobbleheads?
I do.
Yeah. I used to.
I got a Mavs bobblehead.
I used to have a pretty nice... being in radio, people send you things. And anytime there was a promotional bobblehead, they would send us, a box of bobbleheads. So we'd get the bobbleheads. And I had a collection of bobbleheads, probably like 30 of them in there. And I don't know where they are now. Actually, I do know where they are. They were in a storage unit that got seized. So somebody's got my collection of bobbleheads, of free promotional bobbleheads. My coolest one was a Howie Mandel win, lose, or draw bobblehead. Remember his show, Win, Lose, or Draw?
Right.
Tempura day. Do not like shrimp tempura. Do not like the food prepared tempura style. How about you?
It seems like it's a little over battered.
A little over the top. A little bit too much. I actually, if we're talking about shrimp, I just like cocktail shrimp. Or a reasonably battered jumbo fried shrimp is good. Reasonably battered. But I could just go.
Yeah, but I don't think there's any reasonable battering going on with tempura. I think the tempura, the whole thing is to try to make it almost like a corny dog.
Yeah, like ridiculous, like overly bready and overly. I guess if it's seasoned, okay, you're just eating good seasoned bread. But nah, give me the shrimp. All right, what's trending today? Well, this is no surprise. Trending number one across all platforms, Sidney Poitier, the legendary the legendary Bahamian actor, Sir Sidney Poitier, has died today. I believe he was 94. Something. 94, was he?
Yep. Died in the Bahamas.
If you don't, that was a stomping ground. That's where he was born. That's where he was raised. And Sir Sidney Poitier, because he was born in the Bahamas, and the Bahamas at the time of his birth was a British colony, and so he gets that British honor of being deemed Sir Sidney Poitier. A good run for him. I think that he has not really. He almost completely stopped acting like in the 1980s. Like he just went away. He killed it in the 50s and the 60s and the 70s. And then he was just like, well, I'm a freaking god. And I'm like the only black leading man in the history of film. And then Denzel Washington showed up. So Denzel Washington is probably comparable to Sidney Poitier, what Sidney Poitier's career was. First African-American to be nominated for an Oscar. He did not win. But then a year later, he did win, became the first African-American to win a lead actor role. I should say that. First African-American to be nominated in lead actor category. Others had Butterfly McQueen is the first African-American for Gone with the Wind to win best supporting actress. She was the first Black American. He won Oscar. He was
the second Black American to win an Oscar.
Okay, second Black American to win an Oscar. First male Black to win the best actor. If I was going to do, and certainly this guy deserves it because holy crap, has he made some classic movies. Sidney Poitier movie draft. The delegation from the Pugs Company High Noon Show in the first round with the first overall pick in the Sidney Poitier movie draft takes Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, 1967. He played Dr. John Prentice. Did you ever see Guess Who's Coming to Dinner?
No.
I'm going to watch that tonight. I love that movie. That is such a great movie and such a weird movie for 1967 because it was so, dare I say, progressive. It was so, the premise of Guess Who's Coming to Dinner is that Joanna, a 23-year-old daughter of Katharine Hepburn and Spencer Tracy, who are two socialites in San Francisco, wealthy people. They run a newspaper. The daughter of two San Francisco socialites comes home from Hawaii, a Hawaiian vacation, with her fiance. And she is introducing her fiance to her parents for the first time. And here's the thing. He's 37 and a widow. And so here are all the good and the bad. Like, it's like, Mom, he's a doctor. Oh, how wonderful. But he's also a widow. Oh, so he's been married before? Mom, and he's also 37. But you're 23. And Mom, well, I'll just wait for you to meet him. It was the first sort of representation of an interracial couple. And the whole thing was about how did Spencer Tracy and Katharine Hepburn, who fancied themselves as these open-minded, progressive people, how were they going to handle their beautiful 23-year-old daughter, not only coming home with a guy that's been married before that she just met on a Hawaiian vacation. And not only that, but he's 37 years old and he's Black. And it's just it's such a fun movie. And the thing that I remember being so strange about it was that Spencer Tracy was against it. He was very angry about it. The dad, 1967, your beautiful young socialite daughter comes home with a black guy. That's probably, but his reasoning for it was interesting. His reasoning was that old thing you used to hear that it's not that I'm a racist. It's that it's going to be so difficult for you because everybody else is a racist. Do you remember when that was always the thing that people didn't like? They tried to have it both ways. It's like, right. No, stop it. You know what? If you can change, everybody else can change. And here we are now. And interracial marriages and interracial dating is not a thing. It's right. I mean, it's only a thing for the absolute worst among us still.
Yeah. I don't even know that it, I mean, it seems like they try to make it a little bit more prominent now in TV commercials.
Well, yeah, but if it wasn't accepted, I mean, when you're selling a product, you don't you don't take a stand to sell a product. Because you're gonna eliminate a big part of the audience. The fact that it is in so many commercials tells me that it's more mainstream, that people do not see it and go, "What?" Maybe they once did.
Right. It does seem like they're forcing the gay thing down your throat with the commercials.
A little bit,
right?
A little bit. Yeah, a little bit. And look, I have gay friends. I have no problem with gay. I haven't had problems with gay people since probably, I don't know, mid-90s. When I was a kid, of course, because that's how we were programmed. You fag, that whole thing. Everything was, But then at some point, I went to an art college. And some of my good friends in college, they're gay. And I'm like, okay, well, I really like this dude. This dude's cool. I got no problem. And we evolve. People evolve. People do change. But man, here's where I kind of go, I watch a lot of TV. And you're right about television commercials. Inclusion is fine. It's representation and inclusion is fine. And it's long overdue. And that should happen. However, every single TV show that is on the air has like equal gay people to equal straight people. Doesn't it seem that way? It seems like every character and I just don't think that's right. I don't think that that's a fair. I'm not a 70-year-old man going, God damn it, turn it up. That's not me. I'm just going, I'm pretty open. And I don't know that many gay people in my life.
It seems like the number of commercials or the number of companies that have jumped on that as a progressive way to push their products is disproportionate to the number of actual people that are gay. And like before, when you would see a commercial and it would be two females or two males, you would be left wondering, I wonder if they were gay. Now it seems like they always somehow got to end with a kiss or some form of an embrace to make you sure that what you saw was a gay couple.
Yeah, and it regularly in television shows, lead characters are gay or bisexual, which is fine. I mean, I don't, like you said, I don't know if that's necessarily an accurate representation. I don't know. Maybe it is. I don't have a problem with it. I don't turn a show off because one of the lead characters.
Well, and I think that's what companies are trying to do. They're trying to show that they are open to this, and maybe as a form of acceptance, they feel like, okay, we need to have our commercial too. And it's just everybody getting on the me too, me too, me too. I need a commercial like that. Why it seems like right now that the airwaves are just kind of overdone with the percentage of commercials that represent, gay relationships.
Jeff Glenn says every commercial has a mixed race and same-sex couples. And yeah, that's right. And I read an article, goes back a couple of years, talking about this in commercial advertising that I just reminded myself of. And I remember at the time, they said that the reason that certain brands, there are certain brands that leaned hard into that aspect, the same-sex relationship or the interracial relationship. And the metric that they used, like for instance, expensive cars airlines, trips, vacations, that kinds of thing. And the metric that they used was that progressive people who are more open to that kind of thing tend to be better educated, have more expendable income, and spend on bigger ticket things. You may not see a spam commercial or, whatever, what's a lower quality brand that is trying to sell to, people in trailer parks in Alabama. You may not see that, but, like Disney, like American Airlines, AT&T, anything that requires a credit check, stuff like that, credit cards, that sort of thing. Those brands have decided that the people that they want are probably more open-minded to the idea of these things. And also, man, let's not look down on the same-sex people, because same-sex couples, they don't have kids. And all of that money is just sitting in the bank. They can buy things, right? I mean,
well, they do have less outgo when it comes to family expenses.
Expendable income. A 50-year-old gay married couple, a couple of dudes, they take better vacations than, not same sex. What would it be? A traditional married couple who have maybe
without children.
Without children. Yeah. Although I guess that's changing as well, because now, adoption it's normalized, and, gay couple. Adam says, I know 5 same-sex couples with kids. 3 of them are their own kids. Yeah, that has really changed in the last few years, in the last decade or so. I mean, the way that this whole thing has changed. I mean, remember, in 1998, Ellen DeGeneres was run off network TV in 1998 for admitting that she was gay. And then 6 years later, the tide had turned so strongly that she was the most beloved television personality in America for, a couple of decades.
Yeah, and then with the surrogate mothers and all now, that's just really changed the tide as well.
They're also, though, until recently, and by recently I mean the last 15, 20 years or so, maybe even sooner than that, maybe the last decade or so, being a same-sex couple and adopting was not easy. It was not. That has changed. So now we're seeing this a lot more. We're seeing in the surrogate thing. So you're right. So the expendable income among same-sex couples may be something that's waning. All right. So that was round 1 of the Sidney Poitier movie draft. I took Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. I'm going to watch that tonight. I'm telling you. Hey, Ed, I don't know if you got Guess Who's Coming to Dinner up on Plex, but boy, I'll tell you, I'd like to see that. Round 2, Defiant Ones. Oh, did you ever see the Defiant Ones? That was a cool one.
I don't remember it.
Tony Curtis and Sidney Poitier played a couple of escaped convicts who were chained together at the ankles. And they had to, it was about them escaping the prison while being chained together at the ankles. And Tony Curtis was racist. So, that was kind of a difficult thing. So they had to learn how to work together. That's a good one. And round 3, we're only doing 3 rounds. Round 3 of the Sidney Poitier, who died today, movie draft. The delegate from the Pugs and Company High Noon Show selects with their 3rd overall pick, In the Heat of the Night. They Call Me Mr. Tibbs. In the Heat of the Night. Story of a Philadelphia detective who gets sent down to some hillbilly redneck southern town to investigate a murder. And Rod Steiger played the chief of police down there. And they did not like black cops. They did not like the big...
Imagine that.
Yeah. So that's it. My 3 favorite Sidney Poitier movies. 1, Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. 2, Defiant Ones. And 3, In the Heat of the Night. Oh, one other observation about Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, which I've probably seen that movie 5 times in my life. In college, we actually watched that movie. We had to sit in the class and we had to watch that movie. And then there was a whole discussion about the social issues and all of that. College was fun. One of the things that I like best about Guess Who's Coming to Dinner is Tilly. Tilly, the maid of Spencer Tracy and Katharine Hepburn. Tilly is played by Wheezy Jefferson, like Wheezy Jefferson.
Moving on up.
Oh yeah, Isabel Sanford, I think is her name, and Tilly is hardcore. Tilly does not like Sidney Poitier. Boy, when Sidney Poitier shows up for dinner, the parents are trying to be all open-minded and progressive about it and nice. Tilly the maid, does she go? The most racist person in the movie is the black maid. She's the one that does not want him marrying Joanna, who Tilly raised as the maid of the house for decades and decades. She's very protective of Joanna. She doesn't trust his intentions. Wheezy Jefferson, standout performance, and guess who's coming to dinner? Okay, let's see here. Also trending today, Sidney Poitier is passed. That's number one. SCOTUS, the Supreme Court of the United States, is trending in a special Supreme Court session Friday. Justices are hearing expedited arguments in the cases challenging two major Biden administration regulations aimed at increasing the number of vaccinated workers. So that's still going on. And whatever happened with that. Also trending today, Ahmad Aubry. We talked about that when it went down. Ahmad Aubry, the Georgia jogger who was killed by ridiculous father and son duo, and then their totally inbred neighbor. The three men were convicted of the murder of Ahmad Aubry about a month or so ago, and today we're awaiting the sentencing. It still has. You got a TV on near you? I can't. My TV isn't.
I did have it on, and last I saw, they had not been sentenced yet, but they were making the closing arguments. That prosecutor, boy, whew, she's tough.
Yeah. Yeah, she got everything she wanted. She got them all.
And she was not letting up when it came. She was looking, she said, for life in prison without parole.
I don't know.
For both of them, father and the son.
Yeah, I think that Roddy, the inbred neighbor with the crazy haircut, with the Mark Davis haircut, I think that Roddy is probably going to get the least sentence, because remember, he's the guy, he was just like an accomplice. He just filmed it and didn't think he did anything wrong because he didn't know the law. And then they were like, no, you just being there, you're going to draw some charges too. Shit. Hey, lesson for you kids, some bad shit going down, just get out of there. Don't be there. Be able to tell when bad shit's about to go down and then get out of there. Because certainly with murder, we see this with gang members all the time. Just being in the car during a drive-through gets you life. It's the exact same thing. Not to mention, driving the car, maybe a little bit more. You're in the back seat. You claim you don't know what was going on, that the guy in the passenger seat just pulled out a gun and killed a bunch of people. No. You are getting just as big a charge. You're getting a murder charge. So I'm interested to see how Roddy faces Roddy Bryant, the neighbor. I want to see what they give him. Snow Day is trending. Snow Day, not the movie, but the actual phenomena of a snow day. I don't know where did this weather take place. I'm guessing in the Northeast,
Tennessee, I think.
Oh, okay.
Kentucky, over that direction, Virginia, like they were getting whacked with 5, 6, 7 inches of snow, which for them is a lot. If you were in Buffalo, that would be like a normal day.
No,
I think like Buffalo, I think they got a foot of snow yesterday, and they were still at the hockey game.
Same with Chicago. Chicago's gotten about I don't know if there's a foot of snow, but they've gotten a lot of snow over the last couple of days or last couple of weeks or so. And it's also 0 degrees. It's also like now the cold sets in. Now you got snow, and the snow isn't fluffy and fun. The snow freezes. So it's just like broken shards of glass everywhere.
I mean, to the more southern states, credit or jumping on their side, they do not have the level of snow removal equipment, and they're not as prepared with salt and stuff like that. So
they don't have
it is different. It's just it seems odd if you've come from the north to see these people go, oh, we got 4 or 5 inches of snow, and the whole city's like in lockdown.
Shuts down. Well, God bless y'all. Last year, the Texas freeze over. I understood it because I lived here. I understood what that would do. But, people in places like Buffalo and Chicago were like, what? What do you mean the whole state shut down for a month? You still wait at the bus stop on days like that here.
Mm-hmm.
What are you talking about? But again, you're right. The difference is they don't have the infrastructure. And it's the same reason why in places like where you're from and where I'm from, in the summertime, when it goes over 90 for more than 3 days, people die. People die because they
start turning on the fire extinguishers.
It's bad.
Fire hydrants are like opened up.
Right. Yeah. Snow Day is trending, and it just makes me think, was there anything better for a kid like you at 10 years old than when you wake up in the morning and you look out and you see just like a blanket of snow? I mean, the first thing you do, you run to the TV or you turn on the radio and you start listening for the school closings? Oh,
I think some of the best days though were when you went to school and then they shut the school down while you were there because you were getting pounded with snow.
Yeah, that's a fun
And
one too.
that was like the fun one, because then you were with all your buddies in the midst of the snow. You weren't like isolated.
Snowball fights.
Yeah,
right?
snowball fights and things like that. Like that was some of the more shenanigans that went on. If you had like a snow day that didn't start out as a snow day, but turned into one while you were at school.
I have a story about that as well, because there was always a tell that you knew. I don't think I was in junior high. This is early in junior high. It started snowing probably right around the time school started, and it just was cranking. And by the time noon rolled around, it was obvious that we were in the middle of a blizzard. And I remember sitting in class and looking out the window, and I started to see this at noon. I started to see the school buses pulling up, and I'm like, "We're going home."
Yep. Yep, that would be the telltale. You see the buses show up, everybody like, "Oh, we're out. We're getting out.
We're going home." And sure enough, the principal comes on about 10 minutes later. School day has been suspended. We want you all to remain calm and be safe. And yeah, right. And then you get outside in the new snow, and now you're having snowball fights while kids are walking on. Yeah, that was good. You're right. You're right. Although there was no better. The childhood lottery, the equivalent of a child winning the lottery, is when you're listening to the radio or watching your local news like this, before maybe you got your bowl of cereal, right? And you're like this, and they're reading off all of the school closings. And you're just like, say my school, say my district, say my school. And then when it hit, it was like, yes!
Yep. Yep. That was the day after you got sent home. You'd be like hoping for days of that.
How many days is this going to go on for? How many days? Yeah. And I had my junior high, same thing. This was, I guess, a particularly bad year. I guess we had bad. I'd have to look that up to see if this was a particularly bad winter for the Midwest. But I do remember we were out of school for we got a snow day, and then the deep freeze followed, which is typical for that part of the country. And we were out of school on the snow day, and then suddenly the entire rest of the week was canceled because pipes burst. We're like, yeah, the pipes burst.
Yeah. I remember our Snowmageddon was the blizzard of 77. And it was like 2 weeks, literally. Like you went to bed, it was snowing. You woke up, it was snowing. You went to bed, it was snowing. You woke up, it was snowing. And I was like fortunate at the time because my parents had snowmobiles. My grandfather did, and we would deliver pharmacies and groceries to elderly people that were shut in. And
really?
The snow got as high as the gutters on like a 1-story family roof. Like that's how high they were. Cars were covered up for months, like it took for people to get their car back, because they had parked it over on such and such street, left it in the middle of the snowstorm, and went back, and just it was covered. I mean, I think we had like 200 inches. It was some stupid, I don't know, I have to look it up. And then the following year, it was a bunch of babies that were born out of wedlock.
Right.
Because people were trapped downtown in office buildings with randoms,
with secretaries,
and so it was like they've done a lot of follow up on it. But if you check it out, it's the Blizzard of 77.
Speaking of that, we've had this birth explosion, and they're calling them pandemic babies because people were doing nothing but staying home and banging. And now suddenly we've got all of these new babies that have been born in the last 2 years that are outpacing expectations. People who only wanted 2 kids now have 4 because of the pandemic. Yeah, your experience with blizzards in Buffalo is probably tracks with my experience with blizzards, because when you look at Buffalo and Chicago, they're both on the same when the storm
go across the lake effect snow.
Yeah, and they get sucked and they ride the rim of the lakes, the Great Lakes. And you're right on the lake and I'm right on the lake, so we get hit. We both understand what lake effect snow is, how it's like, you could have no snow, but then suddenly you wake up and there's 7 inches because the lake just produced snow, a blizzard for like the people who live within 15 miles of the lake. I don't remember 77. I seem to remember 78. Are you sure it was 77? Because
I'm positive. I'll Google
I
it
might
right
be wrong.
now.
I might be wrong, but I do remember that massive blizzard. And we lived on the second floor. We have a condominium on the second floor. And we had a balcony. And I remember the snow had covered from drifting and stuff like that. I'm not saying we had 30 feet of snow, but from drifting, the snow had completely covered our balcony. So from the ground all the way up to the second floor, all the way over our balcony. And I had to open the sliding glass door of the balcony, and there was just a wall of white, just a wall of white. Sliding glass door goes, and then there's a wall of white. And me and my friend, I want to say it was Eric, maybe it was Steve, I'm not sure. But what we ended up doing was we burrowed from my glass door. We made a tunnel and a slide all the way off the balcony, all the way down into the street. Oh man, snow was fun. Snow was fun, especially when you're a kid.
Yeah, it said daily peak wind gusts ranging from 46 to 69 miles per hour, and high winds blew this into drifts that were 30 to 40 feet high.
Yeah, man, that's what I remember. Absolutely. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When the wind comes with the blizzard, the snow, you may just get like 18 inches of snow. But because of the wind, you'll have 4 inches of snow here and then 30 inches of snow here because the wind blew it into a giant drift. And it's just, and the parents on snow days, nothing was worse for parents than snow days. And nothing was more wonderful for kids since it was like a total change. The emotional spectrum in the household on snow days was parents.
Yeah, it said with
kids,
snowfall as high as 100 inches recorded in areas, and the winds blew drifts into 30 to 40 feet tall. There were 23 total storm-related deaths in Western New York, with 5 more in northern Western New York. Yeah. It was just, and they're showing pictures, like you see pictures now of it, and like, I don't know if y'all can see that, but that's like a picture. It's like a car in the middle of like a tunnel of snow. There's some other ones. It's like a house. There is no house.
House is gone. House is totally gone.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So this is the one. Okay. So I just pulled up a thing, the 5 worst blizzards in Chicago history. And yeah, I guess we didn't have the 77. That's why I was confused. The one I was thinking of was 79.
Well, there is the Great Blizzard of 1978, and that was the winter storm that struck Ohio Valley and the Great Lakes region.
That was a bad one too. I do remember that. Didn't make our top 5 though. Ours had let's see here, January 12th through January 14th, 1979. This is when we had the pipes burst, because I remember we were out of school for a while. 33 inches of snow. Chicago's first woman mayor, blah blah blah, couldn't get. Oh yeah. That was why our mayor got fired, because he couldn't get the snowplows to get the streets open quick enough. So they got rid of him. What's up? Then there was 20 inches in 2015. Oh, that was Snowmageddon. I remember that one. That was bad. I was there for that. That was rough. And then 2011 in Chicago was the one where everybody had to abandon their cars for weeks on Lakeshore Drive because they couldn't get Lakeshore Drive, and it just looked like a absolute end of the world. Snow days, folks. That's trending because kids are going. It's nothing better. Bonus off day, snow day, and on a Friday. The best time. Fridays and Mondays are the absolute best snow days.
Mm-hmm.
Get extensions. All right, so that's a fun story. Here's not a fun story. Texas toddler is trending. Have you seen this story trending locally here? This is oh boy. Let's talk about this one. This is you and I are gonna have to talk this one through.
Or is Nancy Grace gonna be in on this?
No. This isn't a Nancy Grace. This is just oh God. This is anybody can have a gun whenever they want it. Pistol packing toddler. You can do the math. Something bad happens. Texas toddler shoots mother and 1-year-old sibling in Walmart parking lot. This happened in Granbury, I want to say. Where's Granbury? Up by Fort Worth?
Yeah, a little further than that. It's about 100 miles, I think, from here.
Police outside of a Granbury Walmart where a toddler accidentally shot his mother and 1-year-old sibling. A Texas toddler on Wednesday shot his mother and younger brother after getting hold of an unsecured firearm in what police are describing as an accidental shooting. According to a press release, officers with the Granbury Police Department responded to a 911 call about a shooting in a Walmart parking lot located on U.S. Highway 377, approximately an hour southwest of Fort Worth. Okay. Arriving just before 11:20, police were initially told that a 1-year-old grabbed a gun belonging to the father and inadvertently shot the mother and 3-month-old sibling. Okay, so that's really all we need to know. Other than the fact that the baby, just for those of you who are concerned, the 1-year-old sibling who was shot, the bullet first went through the 1-year-old's leg and then struck the mother in the side, going into her chest. The mother is far more serious. Both, I believe, are well, the child, the 1-year-old child, is expected to make a full recovery, which is wonderful. The little kid, imagine the pain that little 1-year-old baby had to go through. I mean, getting a bullet shot, a 1-year-old babies cry for like anything. I mean, God, my heart breaks for that little kid, that little 1-year-old with a bullet through him. So here's what happened. Dad, because Dad's a responsible gun owner. Dad likes to drive around with a gun in his car, which a lot of people do because you might have to kill somebody on the way to 7-Eleven. And Dad liked to keep his gun between the seats. And apparently they were loading up some groceries, and you get the toddler in the car first, and parents are loading up the groceries in the back or whatever. Actually, I don't think the dad was there. Maybe he was, but whatever. It's been said that it's the father's gun, and the toddler reaches down between the seats, picks up the pistol, and just squeeze one off, and it goes right through the baby brother, the 1-year-old baby, and could possibly kill the mom. Now, there are so many questions that I have about this. Being someone who's not a gun enthusiast, but I'm not an anti-Second Amendment person. I do believe that the Second Amendment serves a purpose. I just believe that we need to be smart and we need to stop sucking the D's of the NRA and the gun manufacturers and pretending like we shouldn't enact some kind of reasonable legislation. My whole thing that I always come back to is it should be at least as difficult to get a firearm and possess a firearm as it is to get a driver's license. And it's not. It's just not. You don't have to go through any training. You don't have to pass a driver's ed course. You don't have to pass a test. I mean, all right, but that's not what this is about. This is about the people who are gun fetishists. And there are so many here in Texas who just, for some reason, it's just like this, I got 1 million. If you're a collector, that's cool. I understand they're collectible items. You can have all of these things. You can have cool toys. But the people who carry them in their car and they're not in a holster, they're not, well, like this one, certainly not secured in any way, shape, or form. Well, and is there a safety?
Yeah, it seems like how come the safety wasn't on? You'd think it'd be hard,
because Dad's
hard pressed to figure out that the toddler would know how to take off the safety and pull one off.
Yeah, no way the toddler just grabbing the gun because it's not like the kid picked it up and went, gun, boom. I think the way it's being described is that he just picked it up, started holding it, and bam, it just went off. And unfortunately, it just hit who it hit. So what do we do? What do we do with the dad? Dad should go to jail. Dad needs, if we are not going to enact any kind of rules about how you can attain a gun, then we must start dropping the hammer on irresponsible gun owners. And I don't know that we do that to the extent that we could.
Yeah, I think that there needs to be some form of a charge for people that have some form of responsibility for guns that are hurting other people, even if it is your own loved one. I just, I think why you would leave a firearm in your car loaded with the safety off when you're having your own children get in that car just seems to me that you are mentally checked out. Like you're not understanding the consequences or potential consequences. I mean, I get it that you want it in the car for protection. I get it that people, feel like that their Second Amendment right should provide them with a firearm. But that firearm in those close quarters with your own loved ones that are going to be in that vicinity needs to be in a situation where it's a lot more safe than that.
Everybody is a responsible gun owner right up until the moment that they're not. So this idea that I'm a responsible gun, you know how many people who consider themselves responsible gun owners who I have witnessed not be responsible gun owners? I know 2 families with dead children because of accidental gun discharges. Because, they found a gun, started playing with a gun, and now somebody's dead. I remember a cop. I used to hang out at this bar up in Frisco. And there was everybody's favorite cop. Hey, this cool guy's coming in. He was also an alcoholic. This cop would get drunk, and then just like if somebody said something, like you screw around. You and I push each other's buttons about sports and stuff. Like this guy's big move was to go like this. Oh, yeah. He was a New York Giants fan. Oh yeah, you like the Giants? Boom, and he's wasted, and he'd just pull his gun out and he'd put it on the bar, and he'd go, "Race me to it." You fucking asshole. And I just always thought, what a fucking, and he was kidding, but he thought that was funny. That's a police officer. I don't know if he still is.
I think like the first part of being a responsible gun owner is that your kids can't find the gun. Yes. Like that would be responsibility rule number 1. Like this gun is in a place where kids are not going to be able to get to it. That seems to me to be like rule number 101. Responsible gun ownership means that it's going to be stored in a place where people that are not familiar with how guns work are not going to be able to get access.
And I understand gun owners who maybe keep a gun under the bed or keep it in the nightstand and all that stuff. I understand that you're scared. I understand that that's why you do it, because you're scared, because you're afraid that someone might come in. And, how can you have it in a gun safe? If somebody bursts into the house, then what? I kind of get that. I mean, what, you gotta open it up, but maybe you get one of the more expensive gun safes where it's just a fingerprint, and you put that right on your nightstand. And if you hear somebody, you put your fingerprint and the thing opens. You know what I mean? But it is. I always point this out. It's about fear. You're afraid. You have these guns, or at least you claim, to protect your family because you're afraid of what might happen. And it's totally acceptable. We all manage our fears and our protection of our families in different ways. But you gotta do something. You can't just have a gun under the bed or in the nightstand. I mean, that's ridiculous. I know nothing's gonna happen until it does. And, you have like this. I'm sure that the guy who the father in this situation thought, nothing's going to happen. But I'm telling you, if I'm driving down the road, if somebody gives me any shit, I can reach down between my car. I mean, what is the point of keeping your gun between the cars? See, I just don't get it.
I don't know. I mean, I'm thinking about my truck, and like, if I were to have a firearm in there are a couple compartments that have locks on them that I think the manufacturer of the vehicle decided, okay, maybe this is for somebody that's going to carry a gun and this is where you would put it. And the other day, matter of fact, I forgot that I had this one particular compartment.
Yikes.
And I hit the button and I was like, and all of a sudden it popped open. I was like, oh, I forgot I had that storage spot.
I know what I can put in there. I know.
Well, I mean, I was thinking if I was to, drive around with a firearm, that would be a spot where I would put it. But my kid would not be able to access that. There's a key lock on it.
Yeah, that's the fear. Our kids, both of our kids are so into the shooter games.
Oh my God.
I don't know that it's. I honestly don't know that it's a good thing. I mean, I yell at my kid. I criticize my kid. I make him. I make him feel bad whenever he starts talking to me about, I play this game, and I was like, oh, really? Did you kill people? How many people did you kill? How many people? Was it fun? Was it fun when you killed those people? It's just a video game. But, I'm getting in his head. I'm trying to put this stuff in his head. And luckily, it seems so far, knock wood, that you and I both have smart young men who are not crazy. They seem to be. We've got a couple of little emotional bitches at times. Both of our kids could be emotional bitches.
Right. Well, he does, but I think they understand it is a video game.
Hopefully, you just got to keep. I don't know. I mean, can't. I'm not going to fix it. You're not going to fix it. This is the way of the world. We just got to manage it. You just got to manage it and hope for the best. I don't. All right, so that story goes down. Let's see here. Hey, Mike Pompeo is trending. Remember Mike Pompeo, the former Secretary?
Oh God, I was so glad that guy's gone.
Well, he's probably not gone forever because two things are happening with Mike Pompeo, which is why he's trending today. He's got a book coming out about his years of service to this country, and he's lost 90 pounds. And both of those things indicate he wants to run for president. So,
I don't know that losing 90 pounds is a requirement for running for president. It's not like we've had some physically fit specimens most recently.
But Trump was the first fat president. I mean, Clinton was chubby, but he wasn't fat when we elected him. He got chubby in office. We haven't had, I saw something years ago about fat presidents, and we haven't had a truly fat president since Rutherford B. Hayes, we also hadn't had one with a beard since there are certain things that if you want to run for president, the advisors will tell you, well, get in shape but again, those people are all idiots. Those people don't. Trump was none of those things. Trump was over 300 pounds. He's a big fat guy.
I mean, there was a time when Trump was not big. He ballooned.
In the 80s, in the 90s maybe. But as he aged, he's probably out eating steak and lobster and fancy potatoes every night, I mean, who knows? But Mike Pompeo has lost 90 pounds in 6 months, and he tells People magazine that he did it a very simple way. He's basically
Isn't he from Kansas? I think.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, Missouri, Kansas, somewhere there. Yeah, that sounds about right. I don't know for sure. He was a congressman before. Where was he a congressman from? I think you might be right. I think he might be Kansas. Mike Pompeo says that I lost 90 pounds in 6 months by doing two things: working out 3 times a week and eating sensibly. And he's right.
That works.
Yeah, it does work.
Count calories. It doesn't matter what you eat. Just limit the calories.
And exercise. That's every time I've been able to lose weight. I mean, I've lost weight on Atkins. I've been able to watch pounds pour off on Atkins, but I don't do Atkins anymore because heart issues and heart concerns, not issues, heart concerns. And I honestly found that, I'm pretty lazy when it comes to exercise. Exercise. That's all it is. If you can force yourself to exercise, you know who the greatest example of this is? Do you remember Mike Turley?
I do.
Now, when you think of Mike Turley, do you think of a big fat guy?
No.
Mike Turley was a big fat guy. And by the time you probably came into the picture and knew him, he was a good looking guy. He was thin. He had a beautiful wife. Mm-hmm. Yeah, cool guy, all of that stuff. Mike Turley lost a crap ton of weight. Simply because one day he said, okay, I'm just going to run a couple miles every day and see how this goes. And, I think because I once talked about him because I was always trying to lose weight. I'm like, how the hell did you do it? And I think he also cut out all fast food, for a year. He just never had fast food for a year. Everything that he ate from the home. And he wasn't on a crazy restrictive diet. He just ran. He just started running. And I utilized a bit of that a couple of years back, and it worked for me too. So, it really isn't rocket science. It's stop eating garbage, eat normal foods, don't do any of these fad things. But most importantly, exercise. Just exercise. Your body needs it.
Well, I think the problem is when you do the fad things, it's when you stop doing the fad things
It all
that
comes
it
back.
stops working, you know?
Yeah. All right. Also trending today here. This is a fun one. I wanted to play this for you. We didn't do a moment of joy today because I was waiting to get to this because this is pretty much as cool a moment of joy as there could possibly be. Here's what's trending. Betty White and Joan Rivers is trending. I'm a little worried about the sound quality on this. I'm hoping that we can, so I'm going to be quiet. There is a clip that began circulating yesterday from an old Tonight Show when Joan Rivers was hosting. All right. Is it pulled up? Is it showing?
It's showing.
Okay. By the way, look at Susan Anton. Look at that gigantic blonde. Look at how little Joan Rivers is. Look at how little Betty White is.
Yeah, it looks like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is like shaking hands.
Looks like a guy in a dress, right?
And then Betty White seems to be dwarfing like Joan Rivers.
Yeah, I guess Joan Rivers was really tiny. I never realized that. But here, I'll pull this up. This is trending because it's Betty White and Joan Rivers. Is there another one that I can crank up here? Yeah, let's see if I can crank this one up. Okay. This is Betty White and Joan Rivers on an old episode of The Tonight Show. And it's trending because people are just saying, my God, how witty were these women? These two women, they just go at each other like cats, back and forth. And it's really great. It's like, yeah, I'm a little bit cynical about this old comedy stuff and all that. But man, just listen to some of these quick little barbs that they throw at each other. This is so great. This is your moment of joy.
Oh, there's the big cover girl. Well, you don't have Peekaboo on tonight, isn't that, darling? Did they go away? What happened, honey?
Just a little jealous, are you, of the old cover?
A woman your age lying on the floor saying, oh, hello. You would think you were the only cover girl in town. Do you know I'm a cover girl?
I'm surprised, but probably yes. Oh,
And you
yeah.
say, if you dare say who's that other man on the cover,
Can't review. You look fabulous in white.
I am the one in the pink dress.
You look fabulous in white. It was just... Don't start with me. You're so jealous. I asked you to come on tonight and look glamorous. Look what you showed up in.
I like to think understated is a lot classier than all this stuff hanging out all over. It's just ridiculous and little tassels on it. Can you get them all going in opposite directions?
I'm a major fan. You look wonderful. Now, you consider yourself seriously, because you're on a cover. Not a major publication, but nonetheless.
Publication of dogs, I tell you, that's a very major publication.
For your career, though, that's a good start. Now,
that is the top winning dog of elk hounds. That young Norwegian elk hound, you know how those Swedish girls and Nordic girls are. And I mean, she's just a real big, so I'm in good company. Not out there by myself, lying there saying, hi, I'm just a kid.
it's funny because people wanted to be topless, but I said no. And
Weren't you? I bet it's so hard to tell.
All right. Well, this goes on for a while, but they just go back and forth at each other. If you have a chance, it's trending everywhere. Watch the whole, I don't know, it's like 9 minutes of just Betty White and Joan Rivers just being relentless on each other back and forth. So that's your moment of joy, and that's why Betty White and Joan Rivers are trending together today. Here's one just for you. This was trending pretty far down. This was 30 on Google, but I pulled it up just for you because it's something that you and I have. You opened my eyes to this, and now I am also a devotee to this philosophy. They rated the best tasting things at Taco Bell. Now,
Okay.
now, do you want to tell me why this is a bullshit list?
Because it all tastes the damn same.
Right. Yes. Everything at Taco Bell tastes the same. I don't understand. It's all shaped differently and different colors and stuff. Yeah. But honestly, once you're eating, it all tastes the damn same. It's just, maybe its texture might be different. This might be crunchy. This might be soft, but it all tastes the same.
It's a Taco Bell flavor.
Yes. Yeah. Taco Bell flavor. All right, number 10. Here we go. The soft taco is number 10 on the list. Number 9, the Doritos cheesy gordita trunk. Actually, the one thing that does, the one exception to this rule are the Doritos Locos tacos. Because the power.
But you're adding a flavor outside of Taco Bell, which is
absolutely.
Dorito.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so that's why it tastes, because that's an overpowering Dorito taste, which is really good. I love the Dorito tacos at Taco Bell. They're so good. Why didn't somebody before the last couple of years realize that when you look at a hard shell corn tortilla for tacos, why didn't somebody 30 years ago, well, we got Doritos. Can't we just make them taste like Doritos? Because it's a taco shell that tastes like a Dorito. It's awesome. It is awesome. Number 8, the crunchy taco. Number 7, the nacho cheese Doritos Locos Taco Supreme. That's my go-to. The nacho cheese Dorito Loco Taco Supreme. When I'm dieting now, so I will not be going to Taco Bell.
And that Supreme is like so overused. Like the word Supreme gets in like every, and I guess that's just for the whole assortment of vegetables. Like you get the olives, you get the sour cream, you get the shredded lettuce, get the tomatoes.
Mm-hmm. Best I've been able to tell, Supreme means lettuce. That's all. That's all. It just means a bunch of lettuce piled on top and some diced tomatoes. You're right. They throw some tomatoes on there as well. But yeah, they do. Everything is Supreme, and the only thing that looks different is that it's got lettuce and tomato. Soft Taco Supreme comes in at number 6. Are you? If you go to Taco Bell and you can only get tacos, what are you getting? You getting soft tacos or hard shell tacos?
Again, I look at whatever's there like it's the new version of it, and I get that. Like right now, I'd probably get the cheesy that thing that they're showing on TV where the couple are sharing. It's like the pie.
Okay,
sections.
Let's say I show up with the party box of tacos and it's a mix, and I say, do you want a hard shell or a soft shell? Are you a hard shell guy or a soft shell guy?
I'm probably more of a soft shell guy.
All right, then we should get a box, because I am absolutely I love the hard shell. For some reason, I like the hard shell better. And I understand that is a Taco Bell Americanized invention, the hard shell taco. Because like when you go to in Mexico, they don't have hard shell tacos. They have either corn tortilla or flour tortilla. You go to any taqueria, you don't get, maybe some do, but you don't. The traditional taco is not a hard shell. That's an Americanized thing. Nacho cheese Doritos Locos Taco is number 5. That's also a good one. 4 is the crunchy taco Supreme. 3 is the cheesy gordita crunch.
Didn't they have the one where it had the hard shell and it was then wrapped around with the soft shell?
Cheesy
like they had the both.
Yeah, that's one of the things that's happening. My son's mom makes really good tacos, and she has this crazy like taco presentation that she makes, and it's one of these I think she calls them double stuffed tacos, where like you take a flour tortilla and you smear cheese on the flour tortilla and some beans on the flour tortilla, and then you take a hard shell tortilla and you put it on top of it, and then you fold it just like they do at Taco Bell, and then you stuff that. That's really good. First time I ever had that until Taco Bell started doing it. I like that. I like the mix. Number 2 is the Chalupa Supreme. I don't know what the hell a chalupa is. I've never had that.
I think it's kind of like the burrito. They just came up with a new.
Well, I'll tell you what a chalupa looks. It looks like a pita, as opposed to like a traditional taco flour or corn tortilla. It looks like a pita. It looks like.
But until the ingredients are different, it's the same damn thing.
Yeah. And your number 1 best tasting item at Taco Bell is something that I would never get. It is the Chipotle Cheddar Chalupa. There you go. That's your best thing at Taco Bell, according to Eat This, Not That, which is
all the meat is still cooked in that bag. They drop that bag in the flavoring and they kind of pull it out. You're
right. Everything tastes the same. Everything absolutely tastes the same. Let's see here. What else is trending? Chicago Bulls are trending. That's right. My bullies are trending up near the top 10 of both Google and Twitter. Why are they trending? Because my bullies are going for their 9th straight victory today. And that's not a big deal. 9 straight. Teams have won 9 straight before. But the fact that this team has won 9 straight games, considering they have been devastated by the pandemic, they have been bringing in guys on 10-day contracts for weeks. Now,
and I think 2 of the games, like Demar Derozan, like hit game-winning buzzer beaters when they were down.
Yeah, this guy Demar Derozan, who when he was first brought in, I was excited because he's a baller. But when he was first brought in, the national NBA press said there is no way that a budding superstar like Zach LaVine is going to be able to play with Demar Derozan. And just the so-called experts could not have been more wrong. They are a dynamic duo. They are both going to the All-Star game. DeMar DeRozan is leading all guards in the NBA for All-Star voting. And here's why this guy is so beloved after only 6 months in Chicago. DeMar DeRozan is the first player in NBA history to win 2 games in a row on buzzer beaters. No team has ever won 2 games in a row on buzzer beaters, let alone it being the same guy. And on the game of the second buzzer beater, DeMar DeRozan felt that he missed 2 shots from the free throw in that game. So after that game, DeMar DeRozan stayed late and shot 250 free throws, even though he had just set the NBA, he had set a new benchmark for game-winning buzzer beaters. He still was so dedicated to proving all these experts wrong who said that, San Antonio got rid of him for a reason. And, he's not old. He just played on a shit team last year, and he's looking to prove some people wrong. Chicago Bulls go for 9 straight victory despite team being devastated by COVID and injuries. It's also trending because Jay Williams of the Jay Will, Keyshawn, and Max Kellerman, Keyshawn Johnson, and Jay Williams show, he said, quote, "The Bulls have shown that they are the best team in the East." And also Steph Curry was quoted as saying, when asked about the New York Nets or the Brooklyn Nets, Steph Curry shut down the question saying, "I'm more concerned about the Bulls, what the Bulls have become." And also DeMar DeRozan here's the quote from Steph Curry. "I'm more concerned about what the Bulls have become. DeMar DeRozan is the MVP of the first half." All those reasons, my Chicago Bulls are trending. And they're playing tonight. Washington Bullets going for 10 straight. Texas Tough is trending. This is a fun one. Because we get to shit on Ted Cruz a little bit here. Are you following the ups and downs of Ted Cruz these last couple of days?
Well, recently I know he was like in support of the officers that were at the Capitol.
Yeah. He made on January 5th, the evening before January 6th Eve, I guess we can call it now. He made a impassioned speech, wherever it was. I think it looked like Congress. Maybe it was in front of some, I don't know where it was, but it looked like Congress. He made an impassioned speech where he called the people who stormed the Capitol on January 6th terrorists. And he came full force for the Capitol Police and how, we need to treat them better and all of that kind of stuff. So he says that on, what would that be, Wednesday evening? And Tucker Carlson goes on the air like a half hour later and just destroys Ted Cruz, tears him apart. Cut to 24 hours later, Ted Cruz appears on Tucker Carlson last night and walks back everything he said. And so that is why Texas Tough is trending, because people are mocking the spineless Ted Cruz for not having the courage of his convictions and bowing like a supplicant to Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson got mad at the big bad senator from Texas. And then what did he do? He immediately went on and basically apologized, walked back everything. And I didn't see it, but it says that they went back and forth on a whole bunch of things. But the takeaway from and why he's trending, why Texas Tough and Ted Cruz are trending, is because apparently, he walked it back. No, that's not what I meant. I believe he said, "I'm sorry, I misspoke. That's not what I meant to say."
God.
Ted Cruz is a very smart man. I mean, he's spineless, gutless, soulless, and an awful human being, but he's a very smart man. He does not make those kinds of mistakes. He knew what he was saying. He knew exactly what he was saying. I don't know if he had the foresight to know.
Evidently, he didn't have the right read on how it would be perceived, because now with him taking it back.
Who was he appealing to when he called?
Well, that's what we were trying to figure out, because he's got no audience other than the audience that he kind of threw under the bus when he
called them terrorists.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think he just had a bad day. Well, I mean, a good day. Yeah. I mean, that's what a normal human should have been doing, but he's reverted back to who he is.
Jeff Glenn is pointing out another thing that's trending, people, if you under the Texas Tough or Ted Cruz. It's a bad look for Texans. It's a bad look. He's not a Texan. He's a Canadian who's been all over the country. He just settled here, but he likes to cosplay as a Texan, and he likes to present himself as, I'm a bad, like a tough guy and all that kind of stuff. And a whole bunch of things from his past are being mentioned in this thing. And Jeff brings up one of them, like when he was all tough on Trump, and then Trump completely beat him down and he became a Trump kiss-ass and apologist. I mean, that is not what a Texan is. That is not what a strong... You know who's Texas tough? And it hurts me. Dan Crenshaw, the congressman down there in South Texas. That guy, I don't have very much in common with him ideologically or anything, but at least that guy seems to have the courage of his convictions. That guy seems to be a real Texan. That guy's a war hero, lost an eye. That guy says what he feels and he stays by it. Ted Cruz is not. Ted Cruz is like something different. Ted Cruz, so Texas Tough Ted Cruz is trending. Here's somebody who's truly tough. JJ Watt is trending. Did you see this? JJ Watt is coming back for the playoffs after season-ending surgery, and nobody can believe it. April Michelle Ugpugs, I hate that you keep bringing up that douchebag Crenshaw. April, I agree with you. I'm not a fan of Crenshaw, but the way Crenshaw is damaging, I would think, damaging a lot of his base by his relentless criticisms and takedowns of Marjorie Taylor Greene and Jim Jordan and Lorena Bobbitt and Matt Gaetz. Dan Crenshaw wants nothing to do with these people in the Republican Party, and any opportunity he gets to talk about it, he is going on mic and he is saying these people are morons, these people are idiots, these people are bad for the country, and I respect that. Because it's the people who know that these people are morons and bad for the country who don't say anything about it because, well, I'll just go along to get along. No, those are the people without the courage of their convictions. I may not agree with much of what Dan Crenshaw stands for, but I respect the fact that he is at his own peril. He's being called a rhino. Fox News is bashing him all over the place. He hasn't changed his position on anything politically. He is just flat out saying that there are a bunch of charlatans who are trying to take over the Republican Party, and I respect him for saying that. That's all. That's, like I said, I don't necessarily think that I have much in common with him, but I respect him for that, for sure. So J.J. Watt, back in October, he had, was it labrum surgery? And
yep.
Supposed to be out for the entire year, and he's just done some miraculous rehab. And this morning, the Cardinals, they activated J.J. Watt off of the IR. So we'll see. I mean, he could practice today. that team's getting healthy right at the right time. I still think the Cardinals are the team y'all got to watch out for. I know that we might be looking at them. Look, hey, we're here in Dallas, and we're all excited about the Cowboys. And I know the Cardinals just beat the Cowboys, last week and all of that. But man, if you're going to have to double team both J.J. Watt and Chandler Jones, and then you got to deal with Budda Baker and all that defense is going to get real scary. And I haven't even mentioned the offense and what the offense has been able to do. So it's very, very good time to be a Cardinal fan. And you know what? I will be rooting for The Cardinals. That's right. I'm pulling for the Cardinals. They were they were my grandpa's team, and they were my dad's team. I almost said dead. Well, he is dead. But the Cardinals, the Chicago Cardinals, who left Chicago for where was it? St. Louis back in the 1960s. My dad grew up a Cardinals fan. My grandpa was a Cardinal fan. They were the South Side team, and I've always had a bit of a affinity for them, just for that legacy kind of thing. Isn't that why you're a Yankee fan? Wasn't your dad a Yankee fan?
Mm-hmm. And grandfather.
Yeah. So I've told my son that if the Cowboys get eliminated, because my kid's a diehard Cowboy fan, the Cowboys get eliminated, it's okay for him to root for the Cardinals because he's got family legacy with that team, or at least that brand. So JJ Watt, good for him. Returned from labrum surgery, and he's going to be back playing. If you're a fan of The Boys on Amazon Prime, The Boys is a fantastic series. The Boys is imagine if the Avengers were assholes. That's what The Boys are. It exists in a universe where superheroes are real, but they all work for this big corporation, and they basically being a superhero in this universe is like being like a LeBron James or an Antonio Brown, and they go out to bars and they start fights and they get in trouble and they get bad headlines. And then of course they save, a plane that's crashing, but also they go to bars and they act like dicks. And, it's The Boys is a really good show. Boys is returning to Amazon Prime. It's trending today because they released the first trailer, and I'm very excited. Season 3 of The Boys returns to Amazon Prime on June the 3rd. Okay, so we're gonna end up here. We're gonna get out. Thought we'd get out a little bit earlier than this, but we took some time. I want to end on this. I want to show you something, and you and me, we can break this down together. This is a little video I've been saving for the end here. This occurred at a bus stop in Miami, Florida on Sunday, and it's pretty sure. Okay, warning, this video contains content that, okay, I understand that. I am fine. Here we go. Hold on. It's not sharing, is it?
No.
No, not yet. Okay, so here's the thing. A woman was at a bus stop in Miami, Florida. This was Sunday, now that I see it. How do I share? Did I completely forget how to? No, there we go. Okay, so a woman is sitting at an airport bus station. She obviously just got off a flight, and she is getting ready to go home from whatever trip she was on. She's sitting there minding her own business. Are we there? Can we see it? Yeah, we can see it, right? Okay, so you see the woman on the right, looks like she's on her phone, like all of us would be, and then you see a guy on the left, right?
Mm-hmm.
All alone, 11 a.m., Sunday morning, outside Miami International Airport. This is why, man, I fear for women. I think that there are just too many. This guy takes off his shoelace. See him right now? He's taking his shoelace off. We're going to watch the video. He takes his shoelace off, and then he attempts to murder the woman right there for no reason. They don't know each other. He just tries to strangle her to death. And luckily, a Good Samaritan shows up. But I want to break it down because I want to talk about the Good Samaritan, who wonderful. I'm so glad that he was there. Who knows what would have happened with this girl? It's a grim, spooky video, but let's watch it. And he's looking around. He's like, anybody coming? All right. I got my shoelace. And okay, here we go. What world do we live in? Does he not know he's being filmed? Does he not know that there are cameras? And what is he trying to... Now he's banging on her. Look at him throwing all these punches. She's putting up a fight, though. She's like giving him with the kicks. Oh, my God. And now here's this guy. Now, this is what I don't get. This is... And God bless this guy. I'm not criticizing him in any way. I question the approach. All right, so this guy is beating the shit out of this woman, and he's trying to strangle her with his own shoelace. And this Good Samaritan rolls up with his hands like that. Hey, man, what's going on? The way you roll up on this guy is full speed, and you bum rush him. You just kick his ass. Now, maybe he's afraid. I don't know. It looks like it's pretty obvious that he's got a shoelace. There is no gun or knife out. He's wailing on this girl. And watch how this... All right, so he's like, stop. Stop. And the dude is still wailing on the girl. She's taking extra punches before finally the guy... what did he think? Did he think that the guy would just stop because somebody was there? Now, thankfully, look at it. So he got him. How did that end? Oh, hold on. Did they make an arrest? I'm not sure if they made an arrest. He ran away with his shoe with one shoelace. A few days ago, a man tried strangling a woman at Miami bus stop with a shoelace. He was charged with attempted murder. Okay, so they got him. Thankfully, a bystander intervened and the man took off. Now, bit unfair of me to sit here and say, well, that's not how it should have been handled. Thank God it was handled. That is the bottom line. Thank God somebody.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I think you walk up on a situation like that, probably got a million things going through your head as to like what is really going on here.
Yeah, I don't think when you see a man banging on a woman like that you need to put all that much math work into it.
Well, I don't know that you need to. I think, unfortunately, it's just so out of the norm that you're walking up and you're like, is this really happening? It's almost like you're in shock.
Yeah. I thought it was curious the way the guy like ran and then was like, hey, calm down. There's no calming down here. That genie's out of the bottle. This shit is going down. This man is pounding on her. And because the guy, I'm really not criticizing him. I'm just questioning if that's how I would have responded to it. And I don't know that I would have. I feel like, first of all, I'd like to think that I would have responded to it, right? Like you'd like to think that you would run and throw caution to the air and try and save some poor woman who this was happening to. I'd like to think that I would. But I also think that, I think that there would be no, hey, it would be full speed, and just tackle the guy and just get the guy out of there while screaming to get anybody else that might be in the area to come help out, right? I wonder what the guy was thinking when he ran up like, hey, now calm down. What's going on? He seemed very composed is what I guess I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
In a situation that I don't know that I would have been so composed. April says, I think he thought the attacker would have just knowingly stopped knowing there was a witness. Well, he didn't. And because of that way, she took a couple of extra shots right to the face. This guy was wailing on her with punches and God bless her. She's a fighter. That girl is not going to go down a victim. That girl was kicking. That girl was fighting for her life. But what an incredibly scary world that can happen. Just sitting on a bus stop, just
crazy.
Kind of a rough one to end on, I guess. I guess maybe I should have done that a little bit earlier in the show. All right, folks, thank you so much for joining us again. We'll be back on Monday. No pillow talk tonight because we don't do pillow talks anymore. Oh, you know what I didn't do? I didn't check on the Bitcoin. I didn't check to see how the Bitcoin is doing today. Let's do that. Let's check in on my Bitcoin. Remember, 714 was the number we started at. Let's see where we are. Because Bitcoin was tanking yesterday. So 645. Okay, so we are down 55.65, 69 cents in 2 days. Bitcoin is having a bit of a struggle the last couple of days. I'm sorry to all the Bitcoin enthusiasts out there. I seem to have mafugied the whole thing. As I was saying, we'll be back with another we'll be back with another high noon edition on Monday. We do the show every Monday through Friday. We try and go through all the topics that are trending. Pillow talk. Oh, hey, you guys want to stick around a little bit later? It looks like we're about to get an Ahmad Aubry decision. Hold on. Let's pull this up. Not a decision. The people who... Here we go. Judge sentences 3 men convicted of murdering Ahmad Aubry. Let's see how this plays out. All right, here we go. They have reconvened. The judge seems to be... Come on, play! Why isn't this playing? Okay, hold on, please.
The way the court's going to address this, I'm going to make a few remarks. and then address each one of the defendants with regard to sentencing. And the remarks are intended to be general, but also taken into consideration.
So again, this is Ahmad Aubry, the Georgia jogger who was murdered by a father and son, and then their neighbor filmed the whole thing. They were convicted of murder about a month ago. And here we go. Let's find out how the father and son fare, and then let's find out how Roddy Bryant, who is just the bystander, see how he fares. Here we go. Judge Timothy Walmsley of Georgia Superior Court, Eastern Judicial Circuit, is speaking.
And candidly, I've spent a lot of time thinking about this. This is a case that has taken a lot of time and energy on a lot of people's parts, and has been a case of note, not just in this community, but really in a lot of communities. What we're here today to determine is what an appropriate sentence is, quite separate from the notoriety of the case and any other outside influence that may exist. And so the court is going to be very careful in explaining that the court has considered just the evidence and what is appropriate under the circumstances of this case to consider in the Superior Court. So that all being said, let me start with this statement. As we all now know, based upon the verdict that was rendered in this court in November, Ahmad Aubry was murdered. It's a tragedy. It's a tragedy on many, many levels. On February 23rd of 2020, almost 2 years ago, a resident of Glynn County, a graduate of Brunswick High, a son, a brother, a young man with dreams, was gunned down in this community.
Okay, don't know what happened. Seems to be buffering. Folks, I don't know what's happening here. Hold on, the judge still hasn't. Here we go.
As we understand it, he left his home apparently to go for a run, and he ended up running for his life. He entered the English home at approximately 1:04 p.m. and left that home at about 1:08 on that day. At 1:14, Greg McMichael calls 911 to let them know that there's a black male running down the street. And within moments, Ahmad Aubry is shot and killed. The three men that are now before this court chased him.
Hold on. We will get there. I promise. Why is this buffering so bad? Okay, come on. Secondary.
1 minute. Represents a fraction of the time that Ahmad Aubry was running in Satilla Shores in a residential neighborhood. The shotgun and a .357 revolver.
I seem to have figured out the problem.
State mentioned this today about the time period, but I do want to put that time period in context. And the only way I could think to do so may be a little theatrical, but I think it's appropriate. I want us all to get a concept of time. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to sit silently for 1 minute. And that 1 minute represents a fraction of the time that Ahmad Aubry was running in Satilla
Wow,
Shores.
this ain't good. This ain't good for the defendants. This judge is going to lay the hammer, it seems like. I seem to be a minute behind. He's already talking on the other TV. So, well, we'll just go with this one. Okay, Judge. Listening to the judge render sentencing in the murder of Ahmad Aubry down there in Georgia.
That's approximately a minute. Again, the chase that occurred in Satilla Shores occurred over about a 5-minute period. And when I thought about this, I thought from a lot of different angles, and I kept coming back to the terror that must have been in the mind of the young man running through Satilla Shores. The jury heard the evidence and returned a verdict. And what a difficult job they had under the circumstances. Without any comment on the verdict itself, I think all counsel will agree and accept that this was a very difficult case to even get a jury impaneled on. And there are issues out there with regard to the jury that were brought up in the press and elsewhere. But I want to give credit to those members of the panel, not because of their verdict, just because of the fact that they were willing to go through the process that they went through with the state, with the defense, and with this court. We're here today to sentence the defendants. In discharging the duty, this court is required to consider all mitigating and aggravating circumstances. The court has considered those circumstances, including but not limited to all aspects of the crimes charged, the past criminal record or lack thereof of the defendants. I've also considered any lawful evidence which tends to show the motive of the defendants, their lack of remorse, their general moral character, and any predisposition to commit other crimes. Now, I think in this case, the record speaks for itself, and the defendant's own words, I think, guide this court with regard to sentencing. Went back through my notes and other resources to pull some of the quotes that we have in this case. I'll start with Greg McMichael. In my opinion, Greg McMichael, very early on in this, tried to establish a narrative. He made comments like, Ahmad Aubry was trapped like a rat. Stop or I'll blow your, and I won't repeat it again, head off. He effectively admitted that he wasn't sure what Ahmad Aubry had done wrong. Quote, I don't think the guy has actually stolen anything out there, or if he did, it was early in the process. But he keeps going back over and over again into this damn house. Again, back to the narrative. Told Travis, you have no choice. Told another individual at the scene, this guy ain't no shuffler. This guy's an asshole. Commented that he wanted him, Ahmad Aubry, to know that we weren't playing. If I could have gotten a shot at the guy, I would have shot him. Travis McMichael claims he was in shock. But it's interesting because he talks about his concern for his child and his own well-being. Part of this was while the victim was actually laying there in the street. Commented, this is the worst day of my life. Well, I think it's been touched on here today. There were other individuals that were impacted. I look at the video of this incident. When I say the video, I think everybody knows what we're talking about. But there was one part of it that struck me
this
as
judge is really
chilling. And that is, I believe it's in the enhanced
trying
video
to make sure his point of view
GBI.
is clear on this.
There's a frame where I believe Ahmad Aubry, it looks to be, if he's 20 yards out, that may be close, 30 yards out. And it's the frame of Travis McMichael lifting the shotgun to fire at Ahmad Aubry. And you watch that with context. And when I say context, after hearing the evidence in this case, again, thinking about a young man that had been running at that point for almost 5 minutes. And it is a chilling, truly disturbing scene. And we got there because Travis McMichael's father saw Ahmad Aubry hauling down the street and calls out, let's go. At that point, Travis McMichael, despite whatever may have been going on in his life at that time, with regard to family or otherwise, just goes, grabs a shotgun and goes because he assumes that it is the right thing to do. Ahmad Aubry was then hunted down and shot. And he was killed because individuals here in this courtroom took the law into their own hands. Mr. Bryan, he joined in after calling out to the McMichaels. Y'all got him? Claimed he didn't know what was going on, but obviously wanted to know if this individual who was running through the neighborhood, who he didn't know, had been caught in some way. Said, quote, I figured he'd done something wrong, but I didn't know for sure. All right, that wasn't actually this quote. Those quotes are two separate quotes. Didn't know for sure. I thought he would get away. And this is the part that is disturbing to me with Roddy Bryan. If the guy would have stopped, this would have never happened. All of these quotes give context, I think, to the video that we saw during the case. And Miss Wanda Cooper-Jones this morning made a statement that I think, when you look at these statements and you see the videos, is very true. And that is, she said, when they could not scare or intimidate him, they killed him. There's been discussion about remorse. And I agree with counsel that it is dangerous for defendants who have multiple prosecutions against them to make statements of remorse. But remorse isn't something that is simply a statement of regret. Remorse, I think, can be determined by looking at somebody's reaction to difficult circumstances and the reality of the situation that they're in. Again, it doesn't require an apology, and quite honestly, sometimes apologies are made simply to get past problems.
Again, we're listening to the judge
and demonstrated.
Getting ready to sentence the three defendants in the Ahmad Aubry murder in Georgia.
Ahmad Aubry fell. The McMichaels turned their backs. It's, again, a disturbing image, and they walked away. This was a killing. It was callous, and it occurred, as far as the court is concerned, based upon the evidence, because confrontation was being sought. I think the statement was made during closing arguments. It's interesting to note that the most violent crime in Satilla Shores was the murder of Ahmad Aubry. So sentencing does not generally provide closure. I think Ms. Wanda Cooper-Jones also talked about closure, but I don't find that it really does, and I think that's an unfortunate thing. Because in this case, I think many people are seeking closure. The mother, the father, the community.
I have never in my life seen a judge at sentencing go this deep into the details and to explaining his thinking before sentencing. This is a new one. Typically, these sentencing are very mechanical. There's not a lot of exposition by the judge or anything like that. This guy wants to make sure that everybody knows exactly what went into his decision on sentencing of the McMichaels and their neighbor, Roddy Bryan. So I think that's going to be bad for them.
I'm not sure how this comes across. I'll say it anyway. I think ultimately, with regard to the murder of Ahmad Aubry, it holds us all accountable. I've read somewhere, and I don't remember where it was, that at a minimum, Ahmad Aubry's death should force us to consider expanding our definition of what a neighbor may be and how we treat them. I argue that maybe a neighbor is more than the people who just own property around your house. I also believe that in assuming the worst in others, we show our worst character. Assuming the best in others is always the best course of action. And maybe those are the grand lessons from this case. I will let others spend as much time as they want writing about it and talking about it. But those are my general thoughts with regard to this case and sentencing. That said, with regard to the sentence in this case, as to Travis McMichael, Mr. McMichael, the court sentences you as follows. Count 1, malice murder, life without the possibility of parole.
Yeah.
Count 2, felony murder, is vacated by operation of law. Count 3, felony murder, vacated by operation of law. Count 4, felony murder, vacated by operation of law. Count 5, felony murder, vacated by operation of law. Count 6, aggravated assault, merges into count 1. Count 7, aggravated assault. The court sentences the defendant to 20 years consecutive to count 1. Count 8, false imprisonment, merges into count 1. Count 9, attempted false imprisonment, 5 years concurrent to count 7. That is life plus 20.
So the guy who pulled the trigger
the court sentences you
got
as
life
follows.
without parole.
Count 1,
This is Dad.
malice murder, defendant was found not guilty. Count 2, felony murder, life without the possibility of parole.
Whoa,
Count
Dad!
3, felony murder, vacated. When I say vacated, it's vacated by operation of law in all cases. I'm not going to repeat it. Count 4, vacated. Count 5, vacated. Count 6 merges into count 2. Count 7, aggravated assault, 20 years consecutive to count 2. Count 8, 10 years concurrent to count 7. Count 9, 5 years concurrent to count 7. That is life plus 20 years. Roddy Bryan, I do want to separate a little bit because the state is making a different recommendation. And despite the back and forth that Mr. Goff and I had during this case, I do want to point out a couple things that he raised that I think are appropriate to raise with regard to the sentence. As far as the remorse, I think Roddy Bryan stands in very different shoes. It is obvious from the beginning that he questioned the tragedy that had occurred at the scene and was on I can't remember whose body cam, but the body cam, in fact, questioning whether or not what had occurred, and then took steps early on in this process, I think, that demonstrated that he had grave concerns that what had occurred should not have occurred. And I think that does make Mr. Bryan's situation a little bit different. However, Mr. Bryan has been convicted of felony murder. And I do not believe it can be disputed based on the facts of this case that the verdict was an appropriate verdict based upon the evidence presented, at least. And when I say appropriate, what I mean is legal. Because I believe there's been some discussion about some differences between Mr. Bryan and the McMichaels. There may be some differences, but it does not change the fact that was it not for the fact that Mr. Bryan used his vehicle in a way to impede Mr. Aubry's course of travel, this may not have ever occurred, and that is sufficient for felony murder. He did cooperate with law enforcement. I will point out Mr. Goff 1710-1B. There's actually a case out of Chatham County that says it would not apply under the circumstances of this case. So the court recognizing that Mr. Bryan's position is different. Again, Mr. Bryan was found not guilty on count 1 and count 2. The court sentences Mr. Bryan to life with the possibility of parole on count 3. Count 4 is vacated. Count 5 is vacated. Count 6, the defendant was found not guilty. Count 7 merges into count 3. The defendant is sentenced to 10 years.
So there you go. That's and I recognize that for some of you in the chat room there that you're about a minute ahead of me because of the way this damn stream. I have another TV over here which was live, so I was watching it as you people were finding out, but the audio was about a minute behind. So I figured I would just focus. I would just be a minute behind. The McMichaels, father and son, both get life in prison without parole in the murder of Ahmad Aubry. Roddy Bryan, the neighbor, boy, when the judge started saying, well, this is a different case. This is a different set of circumstance. I thought it was going to be a significantly lesser sentence than the McMichaels received. Turned out the only thing is that he's got a chance to get out. That's the only thing that Roddy has to hang his hat on, is that he's got a chance at somehow of, I don't know how long, I don't know what life without, I don't know what that means. I don't know, life without parole, whatever. Boy, did these guys get the book thrown at them. And there you go. You can't just decide that somebody has done something and you're going to be judge, jury, and executioner. And they were just such... Let's see. Let's go to the chat room. Let's see what you guys are talking about. Brian got life with parole. I think the judge got it right. I like it. Jeff likes it. I like it. I'm good with this. There can't be any issues surrounding this. These people, boy, and I don't know, maybe this is punitive of me, but I hope the father and son aren't sent to the same jail. I hope that all three of these guys, I hope that they spread them out and let them have their own little unique and individual prison experiences. Cause I'm telling you, Dad is a former cop. Dad, they don't typically do so well in prison. So this will be a rough one. This is, I'm just streaming my thoughts here now. I haven't really considered anything that I'm saying. These are just all raw thoughts. I may not be anything I want to stand on forever, but I'm glad these three sons of bitches got the book thrown at them. This kind of shit, I am telling you, what a terrible story. What a terrible situation. And these guys are idiots. These guys are idiots who just, come on, let's do it. And now they're dead. But I honestly, a couple of months ago, I didn't even think the Roddy Bryant guy was going to get convicted. And I remember in the days following the murder of Ahmad Aubry, I remember Roddy going on. Roddy was the guy who filmed it. He wasn't the guy that was initially arrested. The McMichaels, father and son, were arrested. Roddy wasn't. So Roddy was out there making the run of cable news and doing interviews and having his 15 minutes and seeming to enjoy it. And I remember seeing him on with Chris Cuomo. And I remember Cuomo got Roddy to say some really dumb stuff. And that's where I have this impression of Roddy Bryant as just being an absurdly inbred hillbilly who is so stupid, just a dumb guy. And Roddy said some stupid stuff on Chris Cuomo. And then 2 days later, the police arrested him. They're like, man, you're going on TV saying shit that you shouldn't be saying. Why? Because you want to be on TV, Roddy? Is that it? Is somebody going to buy you a drink at the tavern tonight because you were on Chris Cuomo, because you were on TV? Suddenly you're a celebrity? I really thought that he was just caught in a snare and that they were going to, I thought Roddy Bryant might get a year or two or whatever. Life with parole for the guy who wasn't even initially charged and all that. So this judge certainly threw the book at all of them. All right. Round of applause for this judge. I liked him. What I liked about this judge is not necessarily the convictions or the sentences, I should say. That's another issue. I liked how this judge made certain that he is fully on record with his thought processes and with his calculations and how he came to these decisions, because we don't often get to see that. A lot of times they just read the charges and the judge gives the sentence. This judge actually made sure that people completely understood where he was coming from and why he gave this and why he gave that. And I appreciate that. Nothing better than transparency. Okay, we'll be back. We're not doing a show, a pillow talk show. That's what I was talking about before we were so, not rudely, but interrupted before my attention span was stolen by this case. There's no pillow talk show on Sunday night because this is a weekend where I have my kid, and on Sunday nights we watch football and we do father-son stuff, and But we will be back. The next show will be Monday at noon for the high noon, and then pillow talk shows will resume. going further.
Things are going good.
Whoop, whoop.
Always had to be on guard.
However, if something big happens, there's always the possibility that we'll jump in and do a live stream. So make sure that you are liking, subscribing, and all of that stuff, getting notifications for when we decide to jump in. Any sort of big, major breaking news, it is my intention to jump on and cover them if I can and get us all together and talk about that stuff. Hasn't happened yet, but it's a new year, and I hope that we can. So,
It's
understood.
It has been a journey, a multi-answer test. I am on a never-ending quest. Tomorrow is another.
Kevin Barber, I had a dream last night that this song was in a movie. You like this song, don't you? Yeah, you do. You can't help it. It's a good song. I'm telling you, should I ever do another venture, another show, should I create another offering of some kind, I will be using this song. For those of you who listen for years and years, you knew that our closing theme with me and Kelly was "I'm Coming Home" by Mel Torme. Never Ending Quest, though, by John Hinckley, I think is a good one too. But if I ever do unveil this song again as a closing theme for any future endeavors I may participate in, I'm not telling anybody it's John Hinckley. I'm not. I'm just going to let it play. And over the course of time, people will start saying, "Hey, man, that's a good song. Who is it?" And I just want to blow people's mind by going, "That's John Hinckley. That's failed presidential assassin, John Hinckley." I think I did it wrong. But it happened organically. Remember, it was one of the early shows that we were doing here. And some of you diehards who've been here from the beginning, you were there. And we were just simply tracking through some John Hinckley music. This story had come across that John Hinckley. No. I became friends with him on Twitter. That's what it was. I saw him on Twitter promoting his music, and I was like, yeah, okay, this is interesting. This might be fun to track through. We could do Smash or Trash with John Hinckley. And we came across a couple of songs that I thought, you know what, I'm going to play them all the time. And I dare say that I've played more John Hinckley than anybody else on the planet, except maybe John Hinckley.
To some.
Whoa.
I have got an old guitar.
You can support the show. It's early in the month, so not a full court press, but always the show appreciates your support in any way, shape, or form. I know this is a bad month. The last 2 months have been really difficult for the show. Not because it's been difficult for the show. It's been difficult for all of us. Christmas is a very difficult time for us working class, people. And this month, the bills come in. So I certainly expect, to struggle again this month, but that's okay. We're going to keep doing it. Anyone who can help support the show, if you are in a position where you're like a rich guy or something, maybe you double it up this month. Maybe you just pick up the slack for some of the more working class people who can't afford to help out this month. Whatever it is, I don't care. We're going to do the show anyway. I appreciate it. And there you go. All of those links to help out the show and support it, they're right there at the bottom of the screen.
That is all I need.
It's all I need.
I don't need no 401. I don't have the greed.
Got no greed.
Down the road I'll travel far
From the comfort nest. I can't make that stick. I keep forgetting about it. On the introduction of the show, I want to start referring to this guest house studio here at the 1%er compound as the comfort nest, but I keep forgetting to do it. And then at the end of the show, I'm reminded, oh yeah, we do the show live from the comfort nest.
On a never-ending quest. Tomorrow is another day. The best is yet to come.
Best to come.
I have found a different way. So baffling.
Do any of you guys know the lyrics to this thing? Like, have you just through osmosis become someone who could sing I picture myself at a John Hinckley, some parallel universe where John Hinckley somehow spins himself into like the Bruce Springsteen of failed presidential assassins. And I'm like in the front row and we're all singing the lyrics. I feel like I could fit into that. I know all the lyrics to this song. Whoa, whoa.
I can smile a little now. Things are going good. I always had to be on guard. That was understood. Down the road I'll travel, far from the comfort nest.
I am now everybody, never-ending quest.
Dun, dun, dun.
I am on a never-ending quest.
Bye, everybody. Have a great weekend. We'll see you soon.